Thank you for that. I think if I say my next words, I'll get even bigger applause. I will keep my remarks brief. And unlike Perry, I promised to stay to that promise. Speaking of Perry, there are not too many guarantees in this life, but there are two that I guarantee you are going to happen. And when I told Perry this, he kind of just shook his head. And I guarantee Perry that tonight's party would be bigger and better than his. Before I say a few brief remarks, I'd like to introduce my family and friends that are here with us tonight. My wife, Laurel, who has stood beside me since 1988 when we joined this industry, and 20 years ago when I started my business. So thank you for Laurel, for that, for Laurel. My son Nick is a budding entrepreneur. He's the owner of his own company, Dream Job Labs. And what he focuses on is helping people with public speaking. So after I'm finished, you'll wonder, why didn't I take his class? Who is not with us tonight is my son Ethan. He's 22 years old, just graduated from the University of Penn State University. He lives in Washington, D.C. And we wish Ethan was here with us, but we know he is in spirit. My mother-in-law, Kate Schaeferman. Kate's husband, Jim, who is not with us tonight, or anymore for that matter, was instrumental in helping me get my business started. He did anything I asked him with a smile on his face, and most of the time I did not have to ask him. So we're glad that Kate's here. My brother-in-law and sister-in-law, Rick and Martha Schaeferman. Rick is with Edward Jones. Martha is a retired school teacher, so we're glad you're here. And my brother-in-law and sister-in-law, Brian and Nancy Schaeferman. Brian's in the paper business. Nancy sells computer programming, and we're glad that they're here with us as well. Thank you. You know, one of the things that's interesting about our business and our industry is the spirit of cooperation that exists amongst all of us. It's very unique. One of the things that you'll find if you get yourself involved is that people look out for our industry far greater than they look out for their own particular business or their own personal interests. It's remarkable what we do. Joe Sims was telling me the other day that he was so glad to get back on the board because he said, you guys are so different. You are doers. You don't just sit around and have board meetings and kind of chit-chat. He says, your passion, when you set your mind to something, it gets done. And that is a great synopsis of what we do. There are so many other examples I can give you. I'll give you just a couple of brief ones. We recently formed an ad hoc committee between the Greater Louisville Association of Realtors and the BIA. And the sole purpose of that committee was to find a way to make the Board of Realtors contract and the Building Industry Association Registered Builders Sales Contract be more user-friendly so that we get more realtors selling our product and we get more builders business. We had volunteers that were unbelievable. John Talbot, Mark Simpson, Bob Thiemann Jr. On the realtor side, we had Louise Miller and Dave Parks. And this group sat down and hammered it out. It has been years since we had that kind of cooperation. And the big issue that brought us all together was on the Board of Realtors contract, our warranty as a home builder does not apply. The realtors have their own warranty system. So that's a problem because we have our own arbitration system, and when you sign a Board of Realtors contract, their arbitration system takes over. So both sides understood the issue. We got together. We have presented a completed form of that contract to our Registered Builder Committee, and now it goes to the Board of Realtors. So that's just one example. Rocky Musateri, the last 8 or 9 years, has chaired the Land Development Committee. That's a committee that brings together so many of public officials, developers, builders, people that are typically competitors will gather around and find common ground. There are so many issues that come up in our business. And without a committee like that, bridging the gap, creating that spirit of cooperation, we don't get a whole lot of things done. Jim Mims and Mary Ellen Wiederwald, they have formed a committee with Chuck Kavanaugh's leadership to meet at least once a quarter. We're hoping every other month or so as needed to simply work on metro government issues where instead of being an impediment, which there are times when that happens, Jim, sorry, but instead of being an impediment, they are partners and we are figuring out ways to get things done. That is spirit of cooperation. We have a codes committee that we meet with codes officials. Again, I'll recognize Jim Mims and his department. We meet with our code inspectors and our administrators. And if we have code issues, things are not getting done, they're standing in the way of us doing business, we talk about it. We work it out. And the results have been phenomenal. That is spirit of cooperation. The thing that Joe Sims had mentioned earlier about doers and getting things done, that is what the BIA is all about. There are two things I'd like to ask you, and then I'll be finished for the night, so just bear with me. First thing is, if you're not involved and you're a member, get involved. That is how we become stronger. That's how we become better. With your involvement, with guys like and gals like I had mentioned already, what a great organization, what a greater organization we will become. The second thing I would like to ask, and I know Jeremy Esposito is going to be proud of me for saying this, is if you are a member, we are asking you to recruit a member. If everybody in this room that is a member, you've got to know somebody that's in our industry that isn't a member, or that is on the periphery of our industry that should be a member. Get them to join. Chuck said we're the second largest in the country. There's no reason in my mind we couldn't be number one. And if we don't get number one, it isn't just a numbers thing. It isn't just a numbers thing. The reason why we get the cooperation from state government with Senator Dan Syme, the reason we get cooperation with local officials, Greg Fisher's administration, the reason that we get the ear of so many people is because of the strength of our organization. We're about 2,000 members now. If every one of our members just invited one other person or company to join, obviously we double our size. Now that might be pie in the sky. Jeremy is probably going to say, don't tell them that. But if we just get that kind of commitment, if we got the ear of our officials with 2,000 members, imagine how much stronger it will be with just a few more. I thank you for the opportunity to serve you in 2015. What a great staff we have. You all heard Chuck say the wonderful things about our staff. It is so true. They make life easier for all of us. I appreciate that everybody is here tonight. And again, I look forward to serving you in 2015.